down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. Ha. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Ha. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to the Scoreboard. We are in the XFL Playoffs for the first time in over 20 years. We are having XFL playoff football, and looks like we have some good games, but I'm missing a team. There's a team missing that is rightfully meant to be in this playoff, and a very weird set of tiebreaker rules have somehow managed to not let that team into the playoffs, and those tiebreaker rules need to be revised for next season, by the way. But Smokey, how are you doing?
Well, I am better than Battlehawks fans, to tell you the truth here. I'm doing actually pretty good, but here's the thing. Could this be a conspiracy right here? It could because you read off those. You read off those rules last week for tiebreakers, right?
Yeah.
Did they change them?
I don't think. Okay, here's my theory, and I'm gonna not even. Here's my whole conspiracy with this. Okay, In week 8, you sat here and you said they're going to do the following. They're going to have the Sea Dragons beat St. Louis to make week 10 watchable. But they're going to let St. Louis in afterwards anyway because they're the biggest fan base for the playoffs. But they're going to let Seattle beat St. Louis to make week 10 attractive, which they did, by the way. There were some horrible calls. That game was very clearly officiated in favor of Seattle. Of course, not proof that it was, in fact, intended that way, but that's what happened. And at the end of that Seattle versus St. Louis game, the TV broadcast said, they had a graphic and all, it is win and you're in for St. Louis in week 10.
Yeah.
I believe that the tiebreaker rules in the XFL playoffs are so complicated that up until week 10, not even the officials of the league knew them in detail. They did not know that it was, in fact, not win and you're in for St. Louis, but scores came into the play if Seattle were to also win. And if week 9, Seattle was set up to win against St. Louis, had they known the exact tiebreaker rules that would incur, I don't think they would have done it. If that was in fact what happened, I think they made a mistake. I think if we're conspiratorial and we're saying it's set up, they made a mistake. They didn't know that this would lead to Seattle controlling their destiny, not St. Louis.
Yeah,
that's my theory.
Well, you would think they would want the Battlehawks in there, right? Because that's the second biggest fan base, maybe the first. Who knows?
Oh, that's the biggest fan base. That's the biggest in the XFL. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to figure out. I'm racking my brain trying to figure out why would, because at one point in time, I think Fox even showed a set of rules that is actually different than the rules they went by to get Seattle in the playoffs.
Yes, yeah, the rules were so complex, and the tiebreaker, like such a deep tiebreaker, because it doesn't happen in the NFL because not every team is playing the same schedule, right? So it never realistically gets to that deep of a level of tiebreaker that no one who's been with football for the last 25 years has ever seen this. And so I think they legitimately didn't know. They legitimately did not calculate it that deeply. And so until week 10, no one knew what the tiebreaker rules actually are. And then even during the game, no one knew what was going to happen. It was like halfway through the third or fourth quarter in the Seattle game, which was the last game of the season. People watching did not know if the game ended right now who's in. Until the final whistle and they announced it, we did not know. Because like people tried their best to make like a matrix with all the possible scores and then who would be in and what scoring constellation. But it is impossibly complex to follow. So that is a major oversight, and something needs to change about those tiebreaker rules, because if you go into a game and you have no idea what a specific outcome even means, that's not a good rule. That is a problem.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out too, like, is there some reason they need the Dragons in over the Battlehawks? I mean, obviously, we talked about the fan. There's much more Battlehawks fans than there are Sea Dragons fans. There's no doubt about that, regardless of what DC has.
There's probably more Battlehawks fans than there's LA Chargers fans.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that at all, actually. And the Rams, up until the Rams actually won a Super Bowl, but yeah, I would have given them that also. Or maybe they were afraid that the defenders, maybe there is some reason they want the defenders to win this league. And maybe they were afraid that the defenders couldn't pull off the third victory over the Battlehawks. That's one thing.
And they'd be damn right in that assumption. that I'll give them.
I knew you would agree with that one. Mm-hmm. The other thing is maybe they wanted the two highest scoring teams. Although after that 50 burger that the Battlehawks put up, you would think that that's a shoo-in, right? And then I thought maybe it's stars. Maybe Josh Gordon and Ben DiNucci and Ja'Cory Pearson and Jim Haslett as the coach is just the star power they need for these playoffs. But yeah, maybe it's just what you said. Maybe it's not a conspiracy. Maybe it was just so complex that it played out that way. And a lot of
what I said. Technically, what I said is that it was such a complicated conspiracy that even the conspirators didn't think it through.
Oh, I thought you were saying just the
No, I think
the rules were so complex that no one understood it.
yeah, that is the case, but that happened. But if there was a conspiracy that had Seattle beat St. Louis on purpose in Week 9, so Week 10 becomes interesting, I think they did that by mistake because they didn't know the rules.
Gotcha.
They conspired wrongly. Like
Okay.
they tricked themselves because they didn't know the rules.
I gotcha. So
If that happened. If that happened.
Yeah. So they were scrambling and couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
That's well, there's a lot of pissed off Battlehawks fans, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it gets weird, right? If like whether a team in the North makes the playoffs has to do with like how a team in the South scores in a completely different division, it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. So we need new tiebreaker rules there for sure. But how are our standings?
Oh man, yeah. Because of that, I actually made one up on you again. Let's see, what do we have? Well, we both had the Battlehawks. That worked out. I had the Defenders, and you had the Brahmas for some reason. Oh, because you thought they were going to sit their players.
Yeah.
Which the Defenders did take it easy on the Brahmas, in my opinion, especially on defense, but they still played their starters, Te'amu and Abram Smith, and all the gang was out there. We both had the Renegades. That didn't work out, but that makes it interesting for this week. And we both had the Sea Dragons. So, therefore, I got 3. You had 2, bringing the total 25 for me and 26 for you. So, after this week, I assume we'll be tied unless we pick 2 games differently.
After this week, we'll be tied. If we don't just pick the same or 2 different teams.
Yes, exactly. Yes, because I really think I have a pick here that you are not going to pick. So
I think Wait, I actually don't know which pick you have that I'm not going to pick. I will say this. I'll go first for one game, and you go first for one game, and I will let you pick which one you want me to go first for.
Well, I am dead set on one game. So this game here, I will let you go first, and it will be the first game, the Renegades versus the Roughnecks.
Renegades or Roughnecks. Okay. I want to pick the Renegades, obviously, but I'm not going to do it because they played last week. The Roughnecks are not that good, but compared to the rest of the South, they are the overlords of that division because the rest of the teams is just so bad. I mean, the Renegades are, 4-6? 3-7? Something?
I think it's 4-6.
4-6, and they are in the playoffs over the 7-3 Battlehawks. There's a difference here between these two divisions that's just massive. But Roughnecks just beat the Renegades pretty convincingly just last week, and I have no reason to assume that that'll change because it was so convincing. This game is in Houston, and the Roughnecks win as we thought all along.
Well, see, here's my theory here. Bob Stoops knows that game was absolutely worthless. Like, it didn't matter. This game is going to happen again in the playoffs. And I think they took it easy. I mean, you make what you will out of Cole McDonald playing really good. And you could say that the Roughnecks were also, by bringing in Caleb Ellaby, that they were trying to sit some of their players. Since this game really didn't mean anything, Max Borghi was a scratch, but Jeremy Cox came out there and put on a show. That guy was amazing. You had the normal guys out there, Travell Harris and Tavon that guy. Wade Phillips. Man, the team really loves Wade Phillips. Did you see Wade Phillips get knocked out in this game? It really shows how much this team loves Wade Phillips. So that does scare me. But over on Bob Stoop's side, we still got Tyler Vaughns and Sal Cannella, the tight end. Oh, Brian Herrien was their number 1 pass catcher, I believe, this week. That is a former running back from Georgia right there. So I'm interested. They picked him up late in the season. I'm interested to see what he can do, not only coming out of the backfield beside Letty Brown and whoever else they're going to throw out there this week, but that guy is a great pass catcher, which actually surprised me because he wasn't that much of a pass catcher at Georgia. That was mostly DeAndre Swift doing all of that, but it is what it is. I am actually going to take the Renegades. I'm going to take the Renegades on the road because I think this game means more, and it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. I'll take the Renegades.
That is correct, but it's a bold pick. I mean, listen, if you're right with this one, and we're you catching up again another point,
yeah.
Fair. If you do, then it's definitely a deserved point. It's a hard-earned point. But the Renegades in the winning a divisional championship, it just doesn't sit right. It barely sits right to know that the Roughnecks will win a divisional championship, given the quality of that entire division. But it's possible. It definitely is possible. But I'm trusting the Roughnecks because they've dominated that division all year. They'll do it one more time.
That's a point of contention amongst the fans, though. People want the Renegades out of this and the Battlehawks back in.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but clearly that would be a better game on all fronts.
Yeah, you would think.
Obviously, they're a
I
much
would definitely
better
take the Battlehawks over the Roughnecks. There's no doubt about that.
Easily.
But, I mean, that's not how divisions work. I mean, sorry, guys. I know everyone's complaining, but divisions are what they are. You have to take the 2 from the division and make them play off, so...
I'd argue that St. Louis is far enough south to be, geographically, to play in the Southern Division.
That's a good point. Yeah, definitely. But, it didn't quite work out that way.
What are you going to do? We have the Sea Dragons at the Defenders for the North. This is the actual good game.
Yeah, definitely. I expect this one to be...
championship-worthy one.
Oh, yeah. Whoever wins this game is going to win the championship. There's no doubt about that, right? We're definitely going to see that happen.
Probably.
Yeah. You got the stars over on the Sea Dragons. Ben DiNucci, like I said earlier, Josh Gordon, Jakir Pearson, Phillip Lindsay. Didn't have a lot of run in this game, but I think he's still going to play his part in getting this. That's just it. If this thing gets into a shootout, they're not going to need Phillip Lindsay. He is going to be chucking the ball downfield, and Josh Gordon had another season high this past week, and Jakir Pearson is still the number 1 receiver in the league. Jim Haslett has this team running great. It's just too bad they had those two games at the very beginning of the season that actually held them back, or we wouldn't even have a debate here. But over on the other side, Te'amu and De'Aaron King are the best quarterback duo in the league. Mr. XFL, Jordan Te'amu, is probably the MVP at this point, you would think, right?
No, I would not think that.
you still going with Mac?
Yeah, he played the best. I mean, he played the best season of a quarterback. Yeah, of course.
I don't know. I mean, yes, a regular season award, like you always say for the NFL, but they tend to go with the guys in the playoffs. Abram Smith, great. Still the number 1 pick in the entire league. Lucky Jackson, I love him. Josh Hammond, doing big things. Oh, that big bomb to Chris Blair was amazing. A 70-yard pass. That was great. I am going to make this easy and just take the Defenders at home.
I am going to agree with you, even though the Sea Dragons are probably on a very strong winning streak, and I believe that they are not necessarily as big of an underdog as we would anticipate anyone to be to the Defenders at this point, because they've won so decisively and their offenses seem so unstoppable, but so does the Defenders' offense, and it has been the whole time. Defenders has had the upper hand over the Sea Dragons, over this entire division, this entire league. Frankly, they are the best team in the league, unfortunately. But I'll take them, and I'll even root for them, which I didn't think would be possible, but I still prefer Beer Snake over Sea Snake in the playoffs, I guess. So this should have been the Battlehawks at the Defenders, obviously, who I believe would have been a better game, a better story, and the actual deserving league MVP, AJ McCarron, who is the best quarterback in this league, playing in the playoffs. But I think league officials double swerved themselves with their tiebreaker rules that no one knew until they actually became relevant. And hopefully will be changed immediately after the season is done. Nonetheless, Defenders win because the Defenders have been the favorites to win the whole league probably since about week 3. Or at least since the first time the Roughnecks played the North and turned out to be not that good. Or frauds, basically. So, Defenders win. Defenders go on next week and probably also win, but we'll have a separate predictions video for that. One thing I have to ask you before we sign off today: NFL drafts on the horizon. Actually, not even the horizon. It's tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Who's the first overall pick? I need one prediction. First overall. That's all I need. To the Panthers.
Bryce Young. It's going to be Bryce Young now. For the longest time,
that is correct.
For the longest time, I thought C.J. Stroud, of course, because the tides were turning. Like, everybody started leaning towards C.J. Stroud. So I got on board with that. Like, right? And yeah, he doesn't have the overall body of work that Bryce Young has, but people were talking about the interest that Carolina has in C.J. Stroud, and now all these reports are coming out that no, they're actually interested in Bryce Young. They have no reason to send out smoke screens because they have the number 1 overall pick. No one can jump them. No one can take their pick. It's going to be Bryce Young at this point.
That is right. It better be Bryce Young. He's best quarterback in this class. And then I'm thinking probably Stroud second. Though I love Will Levis, man. I know could be like the Zach Wilson syndrome, but it could also be the Josh Allen syndrome. So this is like, there's a huge range there of how it could turn out. But man, it's tough to pass up on him like as a legitimate number 2 candidate to me. I don't know. This might be one where I pull the trigger on him. It's thinking of Josh Allen for number 2. Yeah. But we will see. I can see him fit very well with Indianapolis. I will say.
Yes, exactly. That's where I have him slated to go.
Because they'll see Andrew Luck in that.
See, I wasn't a big Will Levis fan all through college, but the more I watched of his film, I only watched him play Georgia for the first season that he was there. But the more I've watched his film, especially in this offseason, the kid's got something special, and he definitely has the physical archetype to be a Josh Allen. He has the size, he has the strength, he has the quickness, he can run the ball. He is a dual threat, but he can also chuck the ball 60, 70 yards downfield like a Josh Allen. So there is a very big potential that he has to become what Josh Allen is.
Yeah, another guy who has the Josh Allen potential is Anthony Richardson, but he's arguably not even arguably, he is a lot more of a raw prospect than even Josh Allen was originally.
Yeah, he has a lot less tape. He's only played 12 games since high school, and he has not been good in those. I mean, I believe he's below 50% completion percentage at this point, but he is an athletic freak. He's probably the strongest and the fastest quarterback we've ever seen come through the combine, that's for sure, and probably ever in the NFL. This guy is amazing athletically. It's going to take him a season or two that he's going to have to sit behind a pro to actually start. I mean, if they throw him out there week 1, whatever team he's on, it's not going to work. Like, the teams, I mean, if you think Josh Rosen's season was bad, that's probably what it's going to look like. Although he is an athletic freak and he can run the ball, he's not going to make any completions his first season in the NFL. So whoever takes him, hopefully they have a polished QB to start for at least the season, maybe 2.
Yeah. The comparison is Trey Lance, of course, and Trey Lance got drafted into a good situation with like not being forced to start for at least a few years. Now at this point, he might never get to start for San Francisco, but that was an unexpected case, of course. But this is the kind of situation you want Richardson. You do not want him in Indy. You do not want him in, God forbid, in Carolina, going first overall. You need him in, I don't know, Minnesota. I could see. Give him 3 years or something. He's not a like first year starter, probably not a second year starter. And someone's gonna reach for him for sure because he's going in the first round and he's not a first round talent, or he's definitely a first round talent. He's not a first round player, just ability wise. But he will go early because of being a quarterback and people seeing the visions of Josh Allen or Cam Newton in him. But it's a project. It's a project quarterback.
Absolutely.
But we will see. We'll be surprised by that. And maybe we'll have some ideas or opinions on the draft next week. Now, there's going to be a separate video for the USFL, which is going to week 3. We're not doing it in this show, so that's coming up separately from this one. This is purely about the XFL, so we're going to end this one. Let us know your opinions on the XFL games in the comments. Give us your picks and your best conspiratorial idea about how this tie-breaking situation came to be. I want to get to the bottom of this. Do you have anything to add to the XFL?
No, I think that's it for this week.
Perfect. Thank you for watching, everybody. Drop us those picks, and we'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard. Ha. Check.